Hi and welcome back to AHA Golf, here down at the Springs again in Oxfordshire with Tyger, learned student. Good to see you again. How are things?
Yes, not bad, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me back.
Pleasure, as always. How's the golf been going since we last saw you?
Well, I've been down the range quite a few times and I have definitely noticed some improvements. My left to right tendency has diminished significantly. In fact, I'm probably hitting them more right to left than left to right now, which is probably a step in the right direction. Still having some issues with strike, but yeah, I think definitely moving in the right direction and thinking about, you know, the arc of my swing, whereas before I didn't really consider it whatsoever, just hit the ball.
Just thinking back to some of the work we did previously on posture, some of the static positions, you know, with pelvic tilt and things like that. How have you found sort of taking that to your practice sessions?
When I've been to the range, I've been making an effort to get in that posture and, you know, extend my back and stuff. And it feels a lot more natural than it did at the start.
Right.
So, you know, getting used to it, which is obviously a good thing.
Well, I think obviously when you actually move your body into a new position, you're adding rotational force to it, so it can take a little bit of time to just sort of bed in.
And even though it's because obviously, even though what I was doing before wasn't a particularly good swing and it wasn't right and it wasn't the way to get better at golf, it was what I was used to. And it was a swing I'd done thousands of times. So it's just breaking that cycle with, you know, a bit of concentrated effort on making those changes, and hopefully my body will, you know, just get as used to that as it did with my previous swing.
Sure, as we said, muscle memory plays a big part.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So I'm really excited about seeing what it looks like today. So I think what we'll do, we'll get to it. We'll get you hitting some shots, get you nice and loose. We'll have another look on the video. Just sort of see a bit of a comparison, that sort of road map that we spoke about, you know, before and after.
Yeah, great.
Have a look at TrackMan.
Cool.
And also looking forward to seeing you out on the course a bit later. Okay, Tyger, so what club are you lined up there with?
7-iron.
Okay, great. So if your ball to target line matching up with this little setup area here is just on those three poplars on the horizon. You see those?
Yeah, I can see them.
Great. Okay, so if we use that as your reference point, and if you want to hit a few shots, I'll get you on the video, we'll have a look and see how it's looking. Okay, so we'll just get another one down the line, Tyger. Just keep that tempo nice and controlled. Oh, that's lovely. Right then, Tyger, so if we take a look at this, I think it's really interesting looking at some of the postural positions that we spoke about. So this was a couple of weeks ago. You remember we talked about this sort of S-shaped posture? Yeah. I think you've done a fantastic job, and I can see why you've felt it actually a little bit. Can you see it okay?
Yeah, I can see it. I know it's funny, but I've got a good view.
You know, I think I can definitely see why you've had a little bit of discomfort in that lower back, because it's pronounced, isn't it, really? How you've created a totally different spine angle. And the middle of your pelvis here, if we just put a little circle around that midsection, it's much more centered. So that in itself is going to help you to create that rotation. So you've done a really good job there, well done. My only nitpick, really, if I just show you the shaft plane, I mean, again, it's big overall improvement. I'm just going to wind you back actually to the top here.
Oh,
see where your left arm is?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at this one here, to halfway back, massive improvement. Lead arm is much more connected to your chest. Yeah. The only thing is, the right hip just stalls a little bit in that position, which as a consequence causes the lead arm to then pick again.
Yeah.
Big improvement.
In the right direction, definitely.
Definitely. I mean, again, if we just put, you know, a different coloured line on this left arm plane here compared to here,
yeah,
hopefully you can see the gains that we've made technically.
Totally, yeah.
So what I'd like to do today is just to move it on to help you shallow this a little bit more effectively.
Yeah.
So, yeah, closer, but not quite where we need to get it.
But not quite as far, not quite
so
far
it's really good.
yet.
Now, your practice session's obviously really coming into fore here. So
okay, good. Well, that's
I think the next step is let's do a bit more on the pivot.
Sure.
Try and get your weight a little bit more into that right side.
Yeah.
And see how we go from there.
Okie dokie.
Excellent, well done.
Oh, right.
Right, Tyger, so I'm really pleased to see what you've done with posture. So what I'd like to do now is to be really specific tiny little modifications to set at position, only little small little pieces, and then we're going to move on to try and develop this coil for you.
Okie dokie.
So if you take up an address position for me, okay, just a minor detail, I would like just a fraction less flex in the legs, only a little bit, okay, that's good. And if we can just get you slightly wider with the feet again, you just tend to creep a little bit narrow.
Okay.
Okay. So pelvic positioning is really good, and you've mentioned that you felt it here. Okay. Hands are positioned really nicely under the chin line, so all that's fantastic. Now what I want you to do is I want you to move the club for me to halfway back and stop. Okay, good, that's it, stay there, fantastic. Hold that position. Now, the next thing we need to add is just a little bit more of a deeper hip rotation to enable this lead arm here to be a little bit more across your shoulder line. Okay, what you're doing at the moment, you're getting to here really nicely, but then it's just slightly disconnecting and picking. Can you feel how it disconnects?
I can, and also I can really, I mean, I know why I don't get to that position when I swing. It's because it kind of hurts. I think might have just realised I might need to get a bit more flexible, and actually maybe do some like regular stretching to do that. And I wouldn't have necessarily ever considered that as part of how I might be getting better at golf. But yeah, it's I can totally see what you're saying. I can feel it. It just feels, to me, like I said last week, it feels so much more athletic than I'm used to my golf swing being. So it's that coming around more in a sense.
Basically, yes. And it's like when we said before about the actual angles that you create at address. So once you've created those angles, you're maintaining them and you're rotating on a plane, aren't you?
Yes.
And I think the big thing for you, I mean, you're absolutely right, by the way, about flexibility and things like Pilates and yoga, really, really good for golf, core strength, certainly with like the hamstrings, very important, because I think that would help you to sort of feel how it flows into a movement rather than isolated positions.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But I've got a nice little drill that we're going to do today. Okay, so this is a really focused drill, and I think what it's going to do, it's going to give you a sensation which is hopefully going to make it easy for you to blend arms and body, because like we said before, linking the two together. So if you want to place that head cover underneath your left armpit, okay, good. Now set up to the ball for me. Good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get you to do a 3/4 length backswing, pause at the top, and then hit the shot.
Okay.
So just to rehearse the feeling, I want you to move that club for me again to halfway back and stop.
And am I right in thinking I'm trying to keep this here?
Correct, correct. If it falls away, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Because when the body rotates and the arms release, then naturally it will come away. But it just gives you a feeling of connecting this left arm to the chest a little bit more.
Okay.
So if you were to actually do your normal move where it works this way, it would fall away.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so it's a totally different sensation, hopefully. Okay, so from that position there, we're going to get you to hit the shot.
Okay.
All right, so let's set you up again. So we've got the head cover underneath the left armpit there, which is good. Posture's looking terrific. So halfway back and stop. Now pull the trigger. Oh, nearly. Okay, that's okay. I mean, it's a really difficult drill.
Feels strange. That's
set you up again.
That's
so head cover in position. So work me to halfway back and stop. Feel the connection and go. Okay, nearly. Okay, that's it. So good pelvic positioning. That's it. So feeling that pressure on the left side of the chest there. So halfway back and stop and go. Good. Okay, really nice. So what I'd like to do now is actually video that so you can see the difference.
I feel like my left shoulder's getting a massive workout just from those 3 swings.
So halfway back, go. Okay, much closer, much closer. Right, so if you have a look here, Tyger, really interesting. Now I know it's only an isolated drill, and really if you're working on this at the range or on the practice area, probably better to use perhaps a 9-iron or a pitching wedge, you know, a shorter club to make it a little bit easier because of the length of the swing. But hopefully what this illustrates for you is we're now really achieving that lead arm positioning.
Oh yeah,
Can you see that?
It is way back, way more, yeah, in the place that it should be.
You see how it's
Yeah.
almost threatening the shoulder plane, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's connected to your torso. And the great thing for me, when you start transitioning,
There's
you actually...
no coming over it. I just almost come down on exactly the same.
Well, there is a transition. That's what I was saying before about, even though when we started working on your mechanics, we did a lot with pelvis and posture, and it looked better, and you started to work the club better to the top, there still wasn't really a transition. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I
that kind of
understand what you mean.
transitional phase to
Yes.
get you to shallow the club. But now you can actually see that club wants to shallow a little bit, doesn't it?
Yes.
And your hips are holding position for longer. And most importantly, look at this delivery. See how the club is now tracking from in to square to in
Yeah.
on the arc, and the golf ball is now, the initial direction here, you can see is very much on an extension of that ball to target line.
Yes.
So what we've actually done there is we've given you a sensation through a drill, and look what's happened to the path.
Yeah.
It's really good. So if we can take that a little bit further, those feelings to a fuller swing, and then later on see what TrackMan says,
Yeah, sure.
it'll be interesting. Okay, Tyger, so what I'd just like you to do is another 2, possibly 3 practice drill shots with the head cover positioned under the armpit, and then we'll start taking it to a fuller move. So if you move the club to halfway back for me again. Fantastic, so feeling that connection to here. Really good setting and loading of the club and working it just to here. Now you can transition. See the shallow?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the re-rotation of the forearms, the club shaft is shallowing, your lower half has held position, it hasn't spun out. Yeah, so now from here, it's just turn and release. Okay, so let's see if we can put that into a little drill. And we'll get that physio appointment for you tomorrow, Tyger. Good. Okay. Nice. So let's see a couple more. Okay, like with a lot of these drills, it's sensation based.
Yes.
So a tad wider with your feet for me. Good, and you've done a nice job with ball positioning, well done. So halfway back, feel the connection, and go. Good. Right, so let's get rid of that head cover. It's done a nice little job connecting you up. So now what I'd like you to do is to set up for me. We're still going to use the peg because it's drill format at the moment. Okay, so take up your address position. Good, so left hand positioning is a lot better as well, Tyger. Too much flex here, that's it, good. So keep your position there, good. Okay, now I want you to show me the position to the top of the backswing and stop. Hold it there, oh fantastic, look at the difference here now. See where this left arm is? Okay, right, and again. So back to address, so up to the top of the backswing and stop. Good, now pull the trigger. Oh, very nice. Okay, so posture's looking good. So show me that, just a little practice one first. So wind it up and start, hold it there, that's it. Can you feel this positioning? It's very much this left arm is against the chest more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right, back to address. So we're going to wind it up. Go. Oh, so close. So close. You match your club face to that and then you are really cooking. How did that strike feel?
Felt good. I think, as you say,
Centred.
just the club face was just going off
Yeah.
over there, but as you know, obviously it's just the getting used to doing something new, isn't it?
Absolutely. So wind it up and stop at the top for me. 3/4 feeling, that's it, fantastic. Hopefully you can feel this core engaging. This right hip's now really seriously loading itself on that spiral coil. Okay, so if you hold that position, now you go back to address. Now let's see if we can replicate those feels and then hit the shot. Yes, superb. Really good.
Good.
Okay, what do you think?
That was pretty good. That was pretty
Well,
good.
I think technically that's actually as good as I've seen you swing the club
Good.
since we started. So that's
Good
really good.
sentence to hear.
Let's, let's go again.
2 in a
And
row.
then we can have a look at what TrackMan tells us. So let's keep the discipline, Tyger, yeah, with the posture. Right, so show me that drill halfway back and stop. Hold it there, that's good. So it feels more like this to you, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Okay. Maintaining your spine angle. So occasionally when you don't quite get the strike, it's basically you just lifting this way a little bit. Okay, so let's just do that again so you can feel the retention of your body angles. Good, okay, good. Right, okay, now back to address. Now let's see if we can just put that in to a full move. Oh, wow, shot of the day, sir. So we're now set up with TrackMan and your 7-iron. Is that your 7-iron, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so calibrated the radar just on the 3 poplars. Ready when you are, sir. Okay, much closer. Much closer. Okay, and again.
Just got to do my
see if we can-
checklist.
Absolutely.
So we've got
Keep your discipline.
legs there, bend there, up there, hands there. Okay.
Oh, very nice. Very nice indeed. Well, I think we owe it to ourselves after such a super shot to have a look at those numbers.
Sure, let's do it.
So I'm just going to load this up for you. How did that feel, Tiger, in terms of the contact?
Contact felt great, yeah. Can't fault the contact. That's yeah, it almost feels like you've hit nothing. It just goes through and there's a ball flying through the air.
Absolutely. Right then, Tigers, that was really interesting, wasn't it, seeing the neutrality of the flight. If we just have a look at some of these TrackMan numbers, can you see those numbers?
Yes.
I've also just got here the 3D trajectory for you to see. Slightly different.
Yeah, that's looks like a proper golf shot in the three-dimensional portrayal, and then the numbers are quite a long way from where they were last time I saw you.
Speed, we know, is very much a work in progress, and it's probably not as relevant today because we're actually working on drills,
Yes, definitely.
sensations. Similar with attack angle because we've hit some shots off a small tee, again, so you can feel sensations and biomechanics. Big thing for me, and I'm absolutely thrilled, club path minus 1.2, so 1.2 degrees going to the left. What were we a couple of weeks ago?
7.4. That's a lot.
That is significant. Face to path, you know, we spoke about that important correlation, 0.9, so a negligible amount. And then if we just have a look here at the spin axis, which I believe was around about sort of plus 14.
And what is that again?
So spin axis relates to how the axis of spin is tilted.
Oh, yeah.
So if you picture the aeroplane wings, So basically when you don't create what I call a square impact, so when your club face doesn't match up to the path, then you're tilting the axis of spin.
Yeah.
But in this instance here, you're really not doing that, which is fantastic. You got minus 1.2, 0.9 with the face to path, and then a 1.7 positive spin axis. So that just tiny little bit of a left to right on the ball. But if you look at your carry distance, 149 in the total.
Yeah, and to be honest, a carry of 149, considering I really wasn't swinging as hard as I could and wouldn't consider that where I could get to, as in that wasn't my full swing. I think I could make the swing bigger with practice. So, and I know distances and
it was very much three-quarter image, wasn't it?
It was very much three-quarter, concentrate on hitting the ball rather than trying to power it. So I think that just goes to show that if you're hitting the ball straight with not much spin, it goes a lot further, because 7-9, 149 carry, I'd have struggled to hit that with a full shot before, really.
Sure. Yeah, going at full leather.
Yeah.
So you should be really pleased. I just want to show you as well, just from a visual perspective, the impact conditions, so you can actually see there how you're so close. So all the work, when we looked at video at the start and we talked about the left arm plane and the hand path, the tracking of the hand path, even though posture was better, body angles were better, you're moving better, you just weren't quite getting the left arm across the chest. So that three-quarter image, and I think, like you said before, you had that interesting thought, didn't you, of left arm under the chin line, which really worked well for you in terms of keeping the angle down. Yeah,
and I've kind of, in the time away, I've kind of used that as one of the things that I've latched onto.
Right.
And that's enabled me to make the changes I think I'd made when I got here at the start of the session.
Yes.
And now I've got the other thing, which is keep this arm close to the chest. And so for me, it's almost like I've got these Lego blocks of little nuggets of easy to understand information that I can start putting together, and hopefully sooner rather than later they'll start to resemble a proper golf swing.
Absolutely. I think our next step, I mean, just to close on that, you can see the visual. I mean, the club path there is something you'd expect to see really, you know, at the top end of the game, and I think to get a spin axis of 1.7 is very impressive, so you should really commend yourself for that.
Right.
I think the challenge now is, again, it's more of the same, isn't it? It's working to develop that next step of muscle memory,
yeah, just
grooving things in,
getting it to feel more comfortable, and also I'm going to start stretching. Actually, I do think I'm going to spend 10 minutes or something every day, you know, stretching those golf muscles that I know I need to work.
Absolutely, yeah. Right then, Tiger, so I have to say, well done. I've been really impressed today with how things are starting to come together, and quite quickly. So, you know, looking at things like what we spoke about earlier with the video positioning, with your posture, that's looking really tidy. And I think because you've had some time to go away, work on it, get used to those positions, and then move and rotate from those positions, starts to bed in a little bit. And of course, TrackMan really tells us the overall picture. And you know, seeing a shift with your club path from -7 to almost neutral, it's fantastic. So, how do you think it's coming together? And you know, have you enjoyed it again?
Yeah, well, I've had a great time. So thank you again for having me. And yeah, I think I'm definitely moving in the right direction. The TrackMan numbers were much better than they were before. You know, definitely moving in the direction that I want to. And when I manage to strike the ball with the swing, you know, I can tell that the ball is doing what it should be. Whereas, you know, with my previous swing and whatever, the ball very rarely did what I wanted it to. And although, because it's so new, it feels odd at the moment, and that sometimes compromises my strike, I just know that I just need to practice that until it gets more natural, and then, you know, my golf balls are just going to be much more accurate in the long run.
Absolutely.
So just got to get used to the new swing, and just got to, you know, fight through the slightly annoying phase of, I keep topping balls because I'm trying to, you know, improve my golf swing. But you know, that's just part of it, and I'm learning that. So yeah,
it's very much like we said before. It's operant conditioning, being able to sort of dip in and out of different kind of zones, mental zones. I know we said before that that's an area we can work on and help you sort of take it to the course. So that's great. I'd like to just sort of finish off really by getting you set up again into your posture position at address, just so that you can have that final feeling of moving the club to that sort of 3/4 position on the way back, and then feeling the shallowing. So moving the club, posture looks great, that's superb. So key thought for you really was when we place the head cover under the armpit, keeping the connection, you know, the rib cage starts to work better, left arm plane is now much more on the shoulder line. Then of course we can create that shallowing move, and now of course you've got the club working on the right sort of arc and path on the way through.
And I think if I start stretching as well, you know, that position, it would be much easier for me to get into and then release from as well.
Totally. Now I think that's a really good point about some sort of stretching routine, you know, just to really elongate those muscles and help with that kind of elasticity with the spiral coil.
Yeah, and I never previously considered that, you know, there was that much work going on in the golf swing. I thought it was a lot simpler than it is, but now knowing how many components there are, yeah, I will, you know, stretch and do things that I wouldn't have considered previously.
Fantastic. Well, once again, it's been great fun having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Loving to see the progress, actually.
Yeah, and I'll keep practicing. And hopefully next time I see you, there'll be some more gains.
Superb. Well done.
Thank you, Andy.